Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we're looking into the disappearance of Rita Marie Bartschot, and she has a name as case number, which is shown here. And this says she was 40 years old, and it says she was 4'5", and she weighed 100 pounds. The Charlie Project says she was 5'3", and weighed 100 pounds, and 40 years old. And she went missing August 24th. 1990. So it says Seattle, Washington, King County. She was last seen the morning August 24th, 1990, working in the yard of her late mother's home in the Ravenna district. Brown hair, brown eyes, and she wore eyeglasses. So, and there's a photo of her that was uploaded in 2015, along with a photo of the man who is supposed to have killed her. And so we're gonna look at a this is published right here. You can see it, and I have to click to a different tab to read it because my voice will cut in and out really bad if I read it there. So because of the ads makes the recording bad, but what it says, in another light, for other brothers, it would have been a funny scene. Two grown men, one shirtless, both angry, chasing their car down an Eastlake neighborhood street, hoping to catch the driverless vehicle before it damaged itself. It would have been amusing had the brothers been different men. 24 years ago, Seattle serial rapist Curtis Thompson accosted a woman who'd cut him off in traffic as his brother Drew tussled with her husband. The couple was only able to escape when the woman put Thompson's unoccupied car in drive and sent it rolling away. I think they meant neutral. Drew, the convicted killer, is in prison for abducting Rita Bartschot off of Ravenna Street 19 years ago and then killing her at the time and point still unknown. He remains in prison. She was never found, and I'm not sure if he's still in prison now or not. Curtis, a thrice convicted sexual predator, now prepares to face a King County jury in the death of Deborah Byers, a mother of two who was stabbed to death with a screwdriver in August 2004. He's the kind of guy prosecutors contend who says things like this: "I'm not the Green River murderer, but I could keep you hostage if I wanted," Curtis Thompson told one of the 4 women he sexually assaulted in 1985. According to court documents, "I could make you stay with me a long time. Nobody will miss you. I can kill you. Your husband would get over it. Your daughter maybe wouldn't." What's driven the 2 men, both of North Seattle, to harm others remains an unanswered question. Curtis Thompson told part of their story in 2003 when he persuaded a Seattle jury against granting a prosecutor's office request that he be confined at a sex offender treatment facility. At the time, he'd completed a sentence for raping 3 women, all strangers to him, and attempting to rape a 4th. According to court documents filed then, Curtis and Drew Thompson were raised primarily by their mother in Seattle and Oregon. Throughout it all, Curtis Thompson told evaluators he sexually assaulted relatives and preteen girls living in the nearby. Despite his mother's Jehovah's Witness faith, he and others had a sexual free-for-all with children in the area. As a teen, Curtis Thompson went to work with his father at a Queen Anne cemetery while attending several Seattle high schools. His brother's history... See, now I would think that's where he would hide a body, is the Queen Anne cemetery, right? His brother's history is not mentioned in court documents. At age 20, Kurt Thompson stabbed an acquaintance in the back, paralyzing him. 5 years later, in 1985, he was apprehended after a string of violent rapes. Addressing a jury 18 years later, he took a consolatory tone and admitted to the assaults he claimed, and jurors apparently believed that he had been saved by his rediscovered faith. A year after his release, Thompson was back behind bars, accused of raping 1 woman, attempting to sexually assault 2 others, and killing Byers during a week-long spree. He since received a life sentence in the sex assaults. Questioned on the stand by senior Deputy Prosecutor Scott O'Toole, Curtis Thompson ignored his earlier claims and denied any wrongdoing. Still, he offered that he believes men should use force to find sexual gratification. "What's a man's use?" he asked rhetorically, his flat bass voice rising. "Sometimes he uses force. That's what a man does." Curtis Thompson was serving his sentence in the earlier rapes when in 1990 police arrested his brother in the death of Rita Bartschot. Bartschot, a Pasco Community College instructor, went missing in August of that year, having disappeared from a street corner 5 blocks from the Ravenna home where Drew Thompson was living. Days later, police apprehended Drew Thompson after he was caught using her ATM card while in possession of her car. He denied any role in her disappearance even after the police determined that the rear seat of her car had been soaked in her blood. But according to court documents filed at the time, Drew Thompson was more forthcoming with other inmates in jail. While in jail on the charge, investigators said he told another inmate that he had kept the victim to get access to the card and that cops would never find the body. Police never have in the 19 years that have passed. And Andrew Thompson, who is scheduled to be released from prison in 2022, has never said where they could. Curtis Thompson is scheduled to go to trial May 11th in Byers' death, and that comes from here. That was 2009. And this one says convicted killer sentenced. And it says friends and colleagues of educator Rita Bartschot continue to mourn her death and celebrate her life, convinced that she met a terrible fate. Her body has not been found. Richard Thompson, the lanky man found guilty of murdering her, is taking the secret of her demise with him to prison. Thompson, 32, gives no hints yesterday as King County Superior Court Judge Liam Twau, I don't know how to pronounce it, imposed punishment of 32 years behind bars. "I have nothing to say, Your Honor," Thompson, a landscaper, said before the judge announced a sentence for first-degree murder. Bartschot, I think that's spelled wrong. It is, because it's spelled different up here. 41, was last seen August 24th, 1990, working in her late mother's yard in northeast Seattle. Thompson later was convicted of taking $3,200 from her bank account with a stolen automatic teller card after she disappeared. Isn't that sad that some people feel like they can just take your money and kill you, and that your life is only worth the amount of money that you have that they can get from you, and it's not worth that much, and that theirs is worth more because they can just steal your money and kill you. So, and you can, I'm going to stop this right here. You can pause this and read it if you want to. I don't want to read it all. But it talks about what a wonderful woman she was, how she cared so much for her students that one semester when she didn't have enough students to take the class, but she had like 15 students. She taught them for free so that they could take the class. So, like I said, you can pause it and read it. But it said that she cared so much for her students and for teaching. So it is so sad. And it says they didn't even know where to begin looking for her body. But I would think that cemetery maybe they worked in would be a good start. And here's the Charlie Project, and here's what it says. The neighbor noticed she was gone. She went to check on the house, noticed the TV set was turned on, the cat had been left without food or water, the coffee pot had turned moldy. Well, she hadn't seen her, so she noticed, and then she reported it. So, yeah, and they found another one of her bank cards at his home, and she took $3,200. He took $3,200 from her accounts. There was blood in the back seat of her car. There was hair. They didn't have the DNA back then like they do now to be able to do the forensic testing, but you know, they believe it was his hair and her blood, and they found his fingerprints in her vehicle. So it says he was convicted of first-degree murder in November 1991 and sentenced to 32 years in prison. He continues to maintain his innocence and will be eligible for parole in 2022. So I don't know if he's still in prison or not. And they are still looking for her body. So she might be a Jane Doe out there, or they may never find her body, because that's what he said, and I guess he's not telling people what he did with it. So hopefully he doesn't get out of prison. And prayers for her loved ones and her family. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye-bye.